Hello everyone, we're back with Ark Nova user game reviews number 3. Hello Randall. So first game we're going to look at today is our special chat member Woodfloor Alchemist. You guys will often see him in there. On one of the worst maps that Ark Nova has to offer, unfortunately. This is Geographical Zoo. Hey Harp Attack, hey Tobacco. I'll relax, I'm less than 1 minute late. And the opening hand is not that bad. So yeah, we're on Geographical Zoo. Projects are Europe, Australia, herbivores. There's nothing that matches any of those, but we do have a good science combo going on. Endgames are naturals and sponsored. So I mean, with this opening hand, sponsor looks okay. We have spokesperson, migration recording, guerrilla field research. The good thing about that is we are first player, so we can always get the Science 2 Rep University. Playing spokesperson, migration, playing all three of these gets you 8 to 8 reputation, so you instantly get the second worker in round 1 if you can get them all down. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this map. But the game is interesting enough. Then the last pick is, I think it's never the petting zoo, it's obviously never the sponsorship primates. I think you can make an argument for the water playground is okay. The only issue is now you have 4 sponsors that you want to get out. Our sponsor is starting at 2, so it's not really ideal. It's just not easy to play all of these very early. So for that reason, I kind of like one of the animals as the 4th pick. It just gives you something to do between playing all your sponsors. Probably like the Gariza, like the Clever does help you get your sponsors back higher. Charles is saying the water playground. Okay, well, that is what Woodfloor kept. I personally would have kept the Gariza. But I don't think it's a game-winning or losing decision to take water playground instead of an animal. And pretty instantly rewarded, like there's aquatic on display, there's a penguin pool. This all lines up with like a pretty fast 2 aquatic. Anyway, the opponent is first player, but yeah, they can't take the university, so we're pretty happy. And they start by Xing back cards. So instantly that tells us that they have a strength 6 sponsor they want to play. 99% of the time, that's what it means. We don't care though, we just continue on with the plan of getting all this science and reputation down. Opponent does a build 1 action first, which now strongly suggests to us that it's a strength 6 sponsor that is like a sponsor building. So we're thinking like Okapi Stable, Bard Owl Hut, Cable Car. Yeah, probably not Cable Car if we're putting a 1 size here. But Okapi could definitely be it with herbivores as a project. You guys are... Charles is like spot on with basically what happens. And I do like this stuff from Woodfloor. Panda's right as well. Maybe the size 3 animal is awkward because we probably want to cover the player sponsor for money spot just to kickstart all these sponsors getting played, which makes the size 3 enclosure awkward. So it could have been a good reason to keep the Martin, but I do like Woodfloor Alchemist's next move most of the way. He does build a 1 size over the player sponsor, but I agree with Charles that a 2 size is better here. Firstly, the 1 size clearly for the lesser bird of paradise, which is fine. Like Australia's a project, it's something that we kind of want. But building a 2 size just masks our intentions a little bit. It's not that much extra money, and on the off chance that we don't get the bird of paradise, then it's more flexible. You might find it in America's animal, then it's in America's as well. But it does start with spokesperson. opponent does their Strength 6 sponsor, which is Bard Owl Hut. Unfortunately for us, they cover the draw a card spot and take the Bird of Paradise. Which is why the 2 size being more flexible was pretty important there. There is Cable Car. And now the display is pretty scary. When your opponent plays a Bard Owl Hut, you do not ever want to let them get the Penguin Pool here. So this has to be #1 priority to not let them get that. Because the combination is too strong. They scale off each other, and just every bird is insane value. Plus, they just picked up a bird, so you do not want to let them get all the birds. But here, they shouldn't have a way of, well, yeah, they don't have a way of getting Penguin Pool this turn, so we're fine to play Migration, just get Sponsor Strength higher. And I really like this next move, upgrading sponsors. We have sponsors we want to get out. The display is full of sponsors. Makes complete sense. Two size better for aquarium placement. Okay, that's a bit... I mean, yes, but we don't have an aquarium. But it just makes every placement a little bit easier. Opponent builds another 1 size in Americas this time. Very interestingly, they haven't spent their worker yet. They've instead built 2 1 sizes, which is fine, I guess. Now, here's the first move that I really don't like, and that is snapping up Guided School Tours. So you can understand the reason behind it. I'm guessing because you get the CP from Guerrilla Field Research, you get the CP from Guided School Tours, you get another upgrade. It's a pretty good sponsor to play. But 2 reasons I don't like it is we don't really need another sponsor. So 3 reasons. We don't really need another sponsor to play immediately. We already have our next 2 to play. We would like to find an animal or a project or something. We want to not let our opponent get the Penguin Pool. And a large reason of why we upgrade sponsors is to be able to play things straight from the display. So like if the opponent's not going to snap up this card, we can just play it for free basically in the next round. Yeah, exactly. We can play it from range later. No rush to playing it now. We don't really need the upgrade that it gives. And drawing from deck, we would have hit a pretty like a pretty perfect animal, honestly, if this was a 2 size. But even it's a 1 size animal, it's fine. Exactly. Always draw from deck. When I say always, I don't mean always, but now opponent grabs America's Partner Zoo. Hey, realize. And now we get a little bit... Oh, spoiler. The next 3 moves are Xing back things, which I think is a little too ambitious here. But I think they're just playing the Guerrilla Field Research is great value in itself because it gives you the 3 rep, it gives you the worker to spend. So instead of then Xing back Assos, which we're about to do next move, or the move after, we can play Guerrilla Field Research, use our worker, and then have sponsors higher anyway. It was just better action sequencing. Opponent starts off with a Scarlet Macaw, so they're extremely happy. This is where they can get the Penguin Pool, and they choose not to, but they just kiosk it up. They get a reputation, so... They get a reputation, which means Penguin Pool is in range for them. They have a card draw spot here. The 100% correct move for them would have been to pick up the Penguin Pool. Yeah, all these are possibilities. Like, there's always a desire to play 2 sponsors at once, because it does feel more efficient. Now opponent plays the Barn Owl, so I mean, this is their bird number 3, they also have the Lesser Bird of Paradise in hand. They get another rep, so now Penguin Pool's even playable for them. But they're still not drawing it up. They have a lot of perception, so they must be pretty happy with their hand right now. Now we X Bacchus. Opponent has a Federal Grants to play. So, I mean, they're pretty happy staying this round. Their income is now 18-6. Now we X back Animals. Basically like 3 wasted actions in a row so we can play all 3 of these at once. Yes and no. So ideally they would have taken Penguin Pool earlier. Like if I started with a Barred Owl Hut in their position, I'd always snap up the Penguin Pool. But Penguin Pool is still good value for them because they're basically already hitting the endgame for it, right? They have the Penguin Pool and the Bird of Paradise. Like that's 5 out of 6. And Jai's right. Even the Sponsorship Vultures is looking scary. Opponent does snap that up, which I still think is incorrect when there's a Penguin Pool, but still something that we don't really want to let them play. But anyway, we do spend the 3Xs now for the ultimate triple sponsor play. But even here is a perfect time to play Penguin Pool, because Penguin Pool is perfect for us to get Aquatic too. Like we could play like Penguin Pool, Gorilla Field Research, Water Playground. I realize we don't have enough X's to do that immediately, but yep, that is the second worker. There is Guided School Tours for a card upgrade, which is Build, which I think is very reasonable, but kind of stuck in a corner here. And then the Water Playground. I mean, yes, 3 sponsors in 1 move, but it's taken 3 moves to set up this one thing. Like, we're still in a fine position. Opponent builds a 2-size in Australia, so that is for their Lesser Bird of Paradise. And we still know they don't want to break. Like, they want to play their Sponsorship Vultures. So this round could be going on for a little bit longer. But doing cards is dangerous here because now we have an unspent worker. We're now putting the break in range for them. Even though we're 90% sure they want to play their sponsor, they could just break. They have no money. They're pretty incentivized to break here. I do like drawing from the deck here. The opponent's shown they're not interested in the Penguin Pool for whatever reason. And we need to hit some other things. So yeah, Eagle, very nice. Basic Research, okay. We already have sponsors upgraded. We don't have any tags for it right now, but reasonable to keep. Opponent could break here, but they play their Sponsorship Vultures. Now we do a full build action, which I kind of like as well, to pick up the Aquatic. I think Aquatic is very reasonable pick up here when we already have the 1 water tag. Even if we don't want the Penguin Pool, there is the Grass Snake coming up, which fits Europe as well. So just taking the Aquatic is a project to do. And then if we're taking the Aquatic, I think it should mean that we're looking at the Grass Snake. Obviously the 1 size in here is for the Tamarin, which is fine as well. But then always build a 2 size here. So one of the things I talk about quite a bit is trying not to overbuild. But having some empty enclosures is fine. Like, we're always going to need a size 2 up here later. We'll find a use for it. But what I also mean by overbuilding is spending too many actions building. So if we're not building a size 2 here, it means we have to build even more later to be able to fit some animals in. So Woodfloor Alchemist decides not to build the size 2. Maybe it's to keep enough money to be able to play the Tamarin this round. I'm not sure the reasoning behind not building a 2 here. But I think with the grass snake on display, it just always makes sense too. Opponent X's back build. They can't cause the break yet. And a most surprising move, Woodfloor Alchemist just decides to break here. So it's good that Penguin Pool dies. But I thought the whole reason that we're going for like the spokesperson or the rep, like the science combo is good, but the main reason we were doing this is to get the second worker. And now not using the worker feels a bit wasted. Like this would be a perfect time to grab Europe Partner Zoo or even Australia Partner Zoo if you want to be really speculative, but Europe makes a lot of sense. It gives us 2 Europe, gives us a discount on the grass snake. Breaking here is definitely not the play, because opponent has really nothing to do. They have no money. We have 18 money. It's kind of up to the opponent to break here. Always Asia Partner Zoo. Well, I would personally grab Europe. Asia would be the best if there wasn't a reason to grab another one. Well, there's a reason to grab Asia now. Opponent starts off the round by building a 1 size, which I don't like as a move either. They already have the 2 size here. They can just put the Bird of Paradise in it if they really want. But also, well, I guess they're telling us they have 2 animals they want to play. But still, I think you can do other things with the first move, like maybe grab an Australia Partner Zoo before doing animals. Here we grab the double science uni. I think that's fine. Double science gives us the 2 rep. We want to upgrade cards here for sure, because we're already hitting 10. So that's all very reasonable. Then we get to drop the grass snake if we want it, which we do. Now we're a bit sad that the 1 size is here, but opponent does grab Australia Partner Zoo now, upgrades animals. Now we're spending an X to do cards, so the main reason is to drop the Tamarin. Without hand size, I don't think it's necessary to spend the X here. I think we get 1 card less without spending the X, which I think is fine. But yeah, I think Tamarin makes sense. We already have the 1 size in Americas. Could also look at drawing up the Quarantine Lab, although it does help with Sponsor Zoo. We don't really need the rep anymore. We're on track to hit like 25 rep this game at this point in time. Okay, that is number 1. The reindeer fits herbivores. I'm not convinced we should go for this at the moment. We already have the next 2 projects lined up, which is probably like Europe 2 and Aquatic 2. Herbivores is a long way off. Maybe we can hit other things instead. Draws randomly from the deck as the last card, and the Mangabetus goes, which is fine. You know, like small animals, that's the next project to do. We don't have to worry about our reindeer here. Okay, opponent does play their Bird of Paradise. They take another rep. Yeah, we're quite a few monkeys. This is true. Yeah, the rep could be useful. Just to start getting the CP from 11 and 14, make sure we hit 5 CP first. But that should pretty much be guaranteed with the Aquatic project to do. Okay, like doing animals here. With the reward, we're slightly keeping in mind we want to hit 5 CP first, but I still think the rep is pretty unnecessary at the moment. We're going to get that 11th reputation when we play the Quarantine Lab or even the basic research. So I do like the 2 appeal here. We're pretty behind in income, and if you think about it, the 1 rep is eventually just going to be converted to 1 appeal once we start hitting 15 and like maxing out the rep track, so you might as well just take 2 appeal earlier, is my thoughts on it. And double clever. So now we do have the 2 aquatic project to do. Opponent can cause the break in 2 moves with the cards and sponsors 5, so I don't really mind clevering back either build or sponsors. Clevering back build I do like, and then putting animals before build is fine. You could also argue to clever back sponsors because the next 2 moves for the opponents is probably cars and break. And then our next move would really want to be doing the project, which means sponsors is just in the way for that. But we also do want to play 1 and 2. Opponent does cards. They drop the vulture, from range, and then just the other 3 cards from the deck. They should really do that in the other order. Draw 3, then the vulture, because you never know what you're going to hit. Cable car's cable car's not a bad call. It does fit. It's still complete garbage on this map, but our sponsor strength is perfect to play it. Yeah, but now Woodfloor spends the X token to play both of these. It does ensure the 5 CP reward, but it also means the opponent gets to break our worker. Well, it means our worker gets broken for a 2nd round in a row, which I'm not delighted about. I'm a fan of taking the university here. The partner zoos are useless for the opponent right now. Maybe it can really go either way. But I think you always do want to get hand size at some point. And like if you want to grab a university and a partner zoo anyway, then the university is just the higher strength thing to grab. And it's more annoying for the opponent. So I'm fine with that. Get to draw up a card. I like the small animals. Just control those projects. And now even another CP from 14th rep. Yeah, this, you would love to have a Marine Worlds reward at 16 rep here. This is one of the fastest games I've ever seen 15 rep hit. Opponent does cause break, so yeah, worker gets broken again. They do have to discard, and like, the opponent has a good income lead, but there is a big advantage of having this much reputation. You get to really control the display. We also have more upgrades. We have 2 or 3 projects lined up. Starting with 2 aquatic. Snapping, still like as a reward here. You could definitely argue for 2 size, but I think with the display being Kookaburra, Expert on Europe, Savannah, these are 3 very snappable cards. Kookaburra is probably the scariest because the opponent's getting pretty close to 5 Australia. It's also just another bird for their bird combo. Like, I'm just going to stop saying like. It gets them the 5th bird for their sponsorship vultures, which is 9 extra income. So I would be looking to snap up the Kookaburra. But also the Savannah is really interesting. We still have the migration recording, so it's going to be an extremely useful card for us later. You could... I would even justify taking the 3 cards from range and just drawing up 1, 2, 3. And maybe take 2 sides instead of snapping, but... Expert on Europe's okay. Opponent doesn't really have a very quick way of getting the koala. They don't have build upgraded, so it's a little bit awkward for them to build all these small enclosures. That's another Australia tag. Okay, opponent just builds a 5 size, which could be in direct response to the crocodile appearing. They do drop the kookaburra, of course. 1 size European animal shows up, which we would be very happy with. So yeah, there's a lot to draw up here. Migration Recording is just a card that you play around, so you could definitely draw up the cougar, the savannah, the stoat, just release 1, 2. Also deny the crocodile from the opponent because it seems like they want it with the 5 size. Okay, first denial good. Stoat good. Fits in our 1 size. Two, 3, 5, 6. Yeah, exactly. Can pretty much just draw everything. Not a fan of leaving savannah. Also not a fan of getting rid of the other Tamarin over the sponsorship vultures. So potentially looking a bit too much at the end game. With an end game like Sponsored Zoo, we're always playing this Expert on Europe, so even if we never play another sponsor for the rest of the game and it's on 8 for 3 CP, that's perfectly acceptable. I don't think we need to keep mediocre cards just to get the extra CP. Could also be looking at playing it later after like the crocodile comes down for 3 reptiles, but that seems too far away and not really good enough. Especially don't want to keep it over the savannah. There's Sumatra tiger and golden eagle. Opponent gets very excited by the golden eagle and snaps it up. Which now we're super glad that they do not have the penguin pool, because imagine this hand with penguin pool, they have 6 birds, they would have had 7 birds. And now Savannah is really asking to be played with 2 4-size predators appearing. So instantly regret not having this in our hand right now. Three size in Europe. I'm guessing the 3 size in Europe is eyeing the red deer. It flocks with the reindeer. They're both herbivores. This could be a case of trying to go for all the projects at once, which is something that can definitely happen. So the reason why Migration Recording is such a good card is that you can basically ignore the base projects. Migration Recording projects are just as good as the base projects. They require a lot more effort to fulfill. We could potentially have a fully, like, just the next 3 projects on Savannah releasing 1, 2, 3. Would be very happy doing those 3 projects, not have to worry about getting 4 or 5 herbivores, getting 2 Australia. Yes, it's exactly like the video of why release projects are OP. So you get the enclosures back, you get the extra, just the extra tempo of not having to build anymore. There's a lot of benefits. I'm not sure what this 2 size is for. But it's fine, we can use the 2 size later. I'm guessing that Expert in Europe is going to be the next card played, which would give room for the stoat. Opponent just grabs Science 2 rep. Okay, so it looks like the opponent wants to play animals and then get another worker. Here we play Expert in Europe. Okay, over the card draw spot. This is going to be to drop the red deer, although I still really think we want the savannah. other slightly scary thing about doing that is we just put the Sumatran tiger in range for the opponent with the Savannah here. They do have an enclosure for it. They actually build a size 2 to draw up the tiger, which I think is a bit crazy. I think if you're going to build a size 2 to draw up anything, it would be the project. And then you're reasonably happy to play either the tiger or the sea lion next move from range. But okay. Now we for sure want to deny the project from them. I guess we do have time to play animals first. It's getting to the point of the game where kiosks are a lot more useless right now. I probably still like the 2 appeal instead of the kiosk. And now I think is really good timing to play the Stoat. But instead the reindeer gets played. The timing on the Stoat's amazing because it gives us 4 Europe to do with our... Sorry, we can't even do a project. We haven't grabbed a partner zoo. Not really sure what this worker is doing. Hey, Woodfall Alchemist. You are right on time. It could be a game where we ignore partner zoos, but at the same time, because we got the second worker so early, it feels like one of the real advantages we would have is being able to just grab the partner zoos. Because we have the extra worker, we have extra time, we're playing 1 billion sponsors, which is good. But then we're playing animals, we're building, but we're not using our Assos action enough. Okay, opponent does play the tiger. They get to upgrade Assos themselves, which makes this partner zoo useful for them again. And they play the Kookaburra for Australia. So again, I'm pretty surprised they're not playing the Sea Lion for just 5 Australia. They also have extra cards they want to sunbathe, so I think the opponent's misplaying quite heavily as well. You can go back and watch the start later. I think there's a few missed opportunities in the start, particularly using your worker in the first round. I do like this next move on one condition. Causing the break here is fine because we know the opponent has... Actually, what is the opponent doing? Not sure the opponent has a project. I was going to say they can play Savannah from range, but they only have 1 money. But I think causing the break here is still fine because we just want to pump out projects. But on the condition that we have to snap up Savannah here. You cannot let them get Savannah. They've put the tiger in a 5 size, they've committed it. We do not want to let them get that enclosure back for free. But instead I think we're getting a little bit too baited by the science combo. It was good at the start. The reputation was very useful to get to 5 and 8, which are the 2 main milestones of the reputation, like the whole point of it. But now, think of every extra reputation as only 1 appeal. It's not a very powerful combo anymore. The reputation is basically not worth anywhere near as much as it was at the start of the game. And it is our 10th sponsor for Sponsor Zoo, but the Savannah benefits the opponent a lot more. And it also benefits us. We still have these good releases. Now Rhino appears. Yeah, opponent just spends 2 X's to play Savannah straight from range for 1 money. And wouldn't be surprised at all to see them snap up the Rhino, which is unfortunate timing. Yeah, they drop the Sea Lion, they're happy to get their 5th Australia tag with that, and they do snap the Rhino. So the opponent has a lot of money, and now they have good ways to spend their money. They have 5 Australia lined up. They can also do habitat diversity with their Rhino project. They're about to get a 3rd partner zoo here, which they do take Europe, but they could definitely take Africa and then play the Asian Rhino to get 5 habitats. So they have 2 good animals and 2 good projects lined up. They are very happy. And they can start donating. They get 3 cards from the deck. Bamboo Forest is another thing we would not want to let the opponent get. We know they just got a Rhino. And now, because the Stoat hasn't been played, looks like we're doing small animals for 2. Yeah, there are definitely some ways you could approach this. There is still the small animals project to do. It's a strictly less good project than for Europe and the Stoat release. It's only 2 CP. Oh no, now it's Partner Zoo. So I'm interested in the ordering. Maybe Woodfall Alchemist is now realizing I really want to play this eagle, but I need upgraded animals. But when the Essos is at 5 and we have projects to do, I think we just always do projects. Even small animals for 2 here would have been fine, but I do also like playing the Stoat. If I was in this position right now, I would be playing the Stoat, doing Europe 4, getting another worker so we can do another project this round, and then end of the round releasing the Stoat. Opponent doesn't have a sponsor out of their 8 cards, so they're just breaking 5. Which is not bad at all for us, because they have a money advantage, so we're happy with more breaks. We do really want to build a 5 size for this crocodile. Or just a reptile house, yep. Also works. Opponent doing animals at 3. So they probably just played the sea lion. Oh, they played their rhino. Yes, reptile houses do exist. I did forget once again. They're playing the rhino, so they'd be really happy getting this bamboo forest. I'm hoping we don't let them do that. Ooh, and the moose. Okay. We have 2 ways of denying. Cards is in the way right now. But we can also just play the crocodile to snap up bamboo forest. Not moving the grass snake is definitely correct. We're actually incentivized to keep all the small reptiles in 1 sizes for expert on Europe endgame, which is... It has some potential to be hit, but also we don't need more empty 1 sizes. So it's very reasonable to keep it in there. True, they don't even need... Yeah, the opponent just took the birds project, obviously. Yeah, I agree. Play Croc plus Stoat to get the Clever to Cleverback cards. That's a good sequence. But cards here just makes it easier for the opponent to break. The opponent's probably happy to break. They just spent all of their money. They can do another project. But also it's breaking Woodfall Alchemist's project, so it's just even. Not bad draws at all. Meerkat Den, Ibex. The problem is there's 10 cards and too much to do. Too many different directions. Now we're looking at the game where the opponent's on 44 points. They have 2 5 CP projects coming up. And we want to do Herbivores 4 or 5. We want to do Europe 4. We want to do Small Animals. We want to do Stoat release, there's just too much going on. Okay, opponent really wants to do their project, so they actually just double X-back sponsors. Would have been the same result if they X-back cards or something, because this doesn't actually get a So's higher, so... Animals here is good. We have perfect money to play Croc and Stoat. Although now we're snapping 2 more cards without hand size. Okay, 2 appeal. 2 appeal now makes sense. We don't want to clever sponsors out of the way. We want to play sponsors. Fine, there's not much snappable. One small thing, should always replenish after the first snap. There's no reason not to. Just snap 1, replenish the display, then snap 2. We also don't really need to deny these because we know the opponent has 5 Australia in hand. We hunt a pretty good animal because we are behind on appeal. I mean, it's crazy, but the game still looks relatively even. I would give the opponent the upper hand because they have 2 5 CP projects coming in. But we also must have really good endgames compared to them. Guided School Tours should be hit at this point if we can ever find time to play the Eagle. I guess that's about it actually, but we are going to have a maxed out sponsored zoo. Yeah, okay, opponent does their Birds project, good call. They take 2 size. Keeping sponsor zoo. Doing our project for Europe, good. X tokens can make sense. We don't really need the 2 size reward. We already have an empty 2 size. We don't mind the 2 size for the Ibex actually, but X tokens will just ensure we can play 2 of these. I'm not even convinced we need to play the Ibex. The good thing is it does give us Herbivores 4. Well, I think even without the Savannah project now, it's not the biggest deal. And it's likely that the next project the opponent supports is 5 Australia anyway, so I don't think it's falling off. Cable car would have been okay, but also where do all the rocks go? Okay, opponent just breaks here. They still don't have hand size, so this is pretty painful for them. Now we have to discard 5 cards. Well, the 2 Preds, the... I don't even know. There's so many different plans happening. I don't mind that. Tech Institute, we still have the endgame 4. This is Herbivores 4. These are 2 determination animals. Small animals is not looking that good. Sea Lion can be released at the same time. We already have the next 2 projects. We even have 2 Australia to do. Like, stop saying like. The projects are lined up anyway. Opponent just snaps up the Condor, but there's not too much else that's interesting for them. I guess it is interesting because it's another bird for them. Is Eagle a determination if we have to grab a partner zoo and build to play it? Well, the answer in this case is yes, because it also unlocks the adder being able to be played. So it's like a 2-for-1. We snapped up the bird breeding programs. Yeah, not much that's interesting. Maybe the chameleon because it fits in the reptile house. Okay, here we have Tech Institute and the Meerkat Den. So just getting sponsors to be maxed out. Meerkat Dens needs to be played anyway for the Herbivores 4. Jaws randomly hit Science Museum. This would have been amazing to show up This would have been amazing to show up about 7 rounds ago. Before we played 9 science icons into the zoo. Opponent starts off with a cards action, which is giving us more time. Opponent shouldn't really need to do cards. They have a pretty good path to 100 right now. They have their Sea Lion plus Australia 5, and then potentially another project. Maybe they're hunting for a 4th herbivore themselves. Okay, this makes sense. We need to build a 2 size and a 4 size, so spending an X here, yes. Think we can wait on the clever. Because ideally the next move anyway is going to be grabbing a partner zoo, so maybe the correct line is spending the X to grab the partner zoo this move, and then spending the X, and then getting cards out of the way so Asos is higher in the end. Yeah, opponent's not playing their Sea Lion. They probably just have another Australia animal that's a 2 size. Okay, they found a taipan. And they just find another bird. Just shocking how good Penguin Pool would have been for them. It's also shocking that 2 size is not in Africa, right? Here's Europe Partner Zoo. Worth looking at the cubes as well. We still have cubes for Asia and Africa uncovered. That would be another great reason to get the chameleon here. It just gets the last cube. You can always get the last cube from the project, but this gets you the second last cube from Asia. Opponent's missing Africa and Asia, so it's really shocking to me that the 2 size was not in Africa. But now they do their 5 Australia. They should be really close to finishing. Yeah, they actually unlock a cube here. For 2 appeal and a donation, so they're at 92. Not convinced they have a good way to cross in. Well, they basically need to build and play another animal. They don't have a good way to cross in the next. It's going to take them at least 2 moves, so we do have some time. Shocking, you should expect to hear a bit more. Here's the Ibex. I'm not sure what... Oh, we're broke. We can play the adder here. This would have been a good time to play the chameleon, I think. The problem with the adder now is we don't have anything we want to hypnosis. In fact, hypnosising cards just helps the opponent, really. It gets animals and Asos higher. Okay, true. We do have money with Science Museum coming in. Just use it to get an X token on the Asos, which is probably the best use for us if it's being played right now. Yeah, opponent just X's back sponsors, which tells us they have a clear way to end, which is most likely just another project to do. Which means they should have grabbed X tokens and grabbed the cube afterwards. better sequencing for them. True. Yeah, opponent has Partner Zoo and Donate. That's a good point. Yeah, okay, that's probably their plan, actually, just Partner Zoo Donate. Which means I do like causing the break here from Woodflower Alchemist, although small mistake, spend the X. We're going to get the X back from Tech Institute here. So you can always afford to spend one more X, you get it back anyway. Just 2 more money, which could be important. We want to play the Eagle with something else. A release for the Eagle. Should just snap this up. I'm a fan of snapping up the Chameleon still, actually. It's the guaranteed second animal to play, and it just unlocks the cube here. Giraffe denies them a 4th herbivore. I think it's likely the opponent just wants to end next move anyway. "15 moves of Break Chicken." That does not sound like a game that I want to be reviewing, Bob, to be honest. Any game with Break Chicken is not that interesting to me. I'm not sure if you're being serious or not there. Yeah, migration recording, but no releases. It is quite sad. Opponent snaps up the Tortoise, which is going to be a much better way for them to finish, so they might just look to build a size 3 along with their size 2 here. And finish with animals. Yeah, that is what they do. They even build a 5 size, why not? That's funny. Do we... Yeah. So the Chameleon can go into 1 size to actually hit the expert on Europe endgame, but it's still actually better in the Reptile House anyway to get the cube unlocked. That is funny. I think when the opponent's going to end in 1 move for certain, then building here can't be right. We have a lot of points we want to catch up. Building is not a way to get a point in the last round. So playing the Giraffe does the same job as the Chameleon in that it unlocks the last cube from Africa, and then we get the last cube from Asia with the Herbivores project. It also gets us 5 Herbivores. What would be the alternate moves? I mean, there's the Pond Turtle now. I think playing animals twice might just be... Not sure. Even doing 2 projects is probably more correct. Have to grab a worker, though. Okay. Opponent has an eagle themselves for their 7th bird of the game. And they do play that Chameleon from display. Oh, that even gets them the last Asia cube. How close is this ending? And what is their last project? They have a low mountain range for the eagle. They have a donation, so they finish on 119 with 1 endgame. We have a decent amount of endgames. Don't hit quarantine, but we have Tech Institute, Guided School Tours, maxed out Sponsor Zoo. Yeah, releasing Kookaburra is better for the opponent. Maybe they're a little bit more concerned that not blocking the 5 means we release the Eagle, but they should know that we're going to do Herbivores anyway as the last project. I think release Rock or Water would be a little bit too strong. Okay, 2 appeals correct. Eel into Project, perfect money. Herbivores 5 for last cube as well. Three from Small Animal Zoo, Tech School Tours, Sponsor Zoo. So after all that, it was only a 6-point loss. But I think there were definitely ways we could have... There were certainly ways we could have made up the difference. Definitely using the workers in rounds 1 and 2. That would have been the perfect time to grab 2 partner zoos. Would have saved a lot of headaches in the late game trying to get 2 partner zoos to get animals upgraded. Not releasing anything with migration recording. And probably too focused on too many different projects. Europe 4 and Herbivores 4 is fine, but it's not needed when we have migration recording with all these amazing projects to do. Probably a little too over-focused on the sponsors. Snapping up Guided School Tours in the first round when we could have played it from range later. Snapping the Tech Institute over the Savannah definitely gave the opponent a lot of tempo getting this enclosure back. They put the Rhino and Moose in it. They also had a sea lion that they wanted to put in it for 5 Australia, but they found other things. What else? Even like drawing up the quarantine lab. At that point in the game, the science didn't do very much. It was close to a win. That a couple of changes and it's very winnable. It's only 6 points. I think the opponent made a few mistakes as well. But that is to be expected, that you're both of the rating where mistakes are going to happen a lot. I think the biggest mistake the opponent made was not grabbing the penguin pool. They could have ended the game, I want to say like 5 turns sooner with the extra appeal and just combo from the penguin pool. Yeah, the adder's a little bit tricky. The extra action was very useless because we finished with X tokens. At the same time, we were about to overtake them in appeal. But it's basically a 2 appeal animal that really gave us not much. Anyway, I think it's a good showcase of how a few changes can make the game winnable. And thank you for sending that in, Woodfloor Alchemist. For the second game, I picked a random game that happened an hour ago on BGA. Yeah, penguin pool on that map is really nice as well. Second game I haven't watched, but it's between... I think these guys are about 300 to 400 rated. I won't double check. I have reviewed my own game from when I was starting out, and it's not pretty watching. But it's worth the exercise. I mean, it's funny to do it. To do it at least once. I remember I was really unhappy with one of the games I played on stream. I thought my opponent got so lucky, and then I watched it back like 6 months later, and I just played so terribly that it was completely my fault I lost. Like the opponent did get a little bit lucky, but I played it so badly that I could not blame luck for that loss. But anyway, on to this game. Our player that we're watching is Earl Koniggin. Earl Koniggin. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. I don't even know how the shocked O face is pronounced. Sorry. But pretty interesting starting hand. We have Europe, Primates, Asia as projects. We do have double Europe animals. Call them Queen. That's cute. I'm just going to call them Earl. And just saying keep the 2 Asia, 2 petting zoos. I don't mind that plan. There's really not much else here. It seems solid enough. Maybe the Science Institute, but the Europe animals obviously have their upside. The petting zoos have an upside of their own. Getting 3 is good value. Now, Engol's a large animal and sponsor zoo, so it gives us a tiny bit of reason to keep Science Institute, but probably just going for 1 or 2 large animals is good enough. And that is what Earl decides to keep. Display looking extremely good. I think the 2 main cards would be Asian Elephant. The double Asia tag is amazing. Explorer, obviously, insta-snappable. We do have cards at 5 here. We don't have to snap first move. I don't mind the hand size first move. Obviously, Europe would have been a possibility, but on Research Institute, it's still possible to get both of these played in the first round. Just have to build a 3 and a 1 next to the Institute, which would be fine. Already wrong. Hand size has some merit. I would 100% start with Europe just for the double discount on these anyway. But hand size has some merit if you're about to snap Explorer. You also want to snap the Elephant later if you possibly can. And then you probably are keeping these to play later, the double petting zoos. Explore in 3 moves. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Grab the Science 2 rep. Build the petting zoo up here. You can explore that early, but do you need to explore that early? If it was a talented communicator, absolutely. Get sponsors upgraded, play it. But Explorer doesn't need to be played until you play your second lot of animals, which just can be in the second round. Our opponent does start with the Science 2 Rep Uni. They might be eyeing the spokesperson here. And I always say draw from deck, but not like this. Funnily enough, they did draw pretty well. They have 2 Asia tags here. They have hand size, so they can keep most of these cards. I agree, Bob. I would take Europe. Anyway, I would ditch the sponsorship reptiles here. Funny that we're going in 3 different directions here. Europe, Asia, petting zoos. These are basically the next 6 animals we want to play. But yeah, not snapping Explorer is a crime. And even if I think you could even make an argument to snap the Elephant over Explorer because of the project, but not snapping one of the 2 is a crime, but I would still snap Explorer. So that's just a case of not properly valuing the cards. Maybe Earl is not someone that upgrades sponsors a lot, which makes Explorer a bit scarier to play because they have to go into uncomfortable territory upgrading sponsors. But the best players will always snap Explorer here. And the opponent actually starts off with Archaeologist, so they're very happy with their start. They got the uni they wanted, they got Archaeologist, they can get 3 unis. Well, you don't really need to grab all the unis with Archaeologist, but they can get an upgrade very early. You would take uni instead of Europe because of the reward on 8. I think the thing is, to get this reward on 8, we probably need to get 2 partner zoos anyway. Because at this stage, the clearest path to 8 would be 2 Europe, 5 Asia. Unless we find a release of some kind. Anyway, Earl starts with a petting zoo. So it's fine because we get to draw the spokesperson away, which we do want to deny the opponent. But it means we're not going for a super early project. And that's a little bit problematic. It means that our next round, I hope, is not going to be grabbing a second uni manually, because I hate it when players do that on this map. Now, Golden Eagle appears. Opponent does insta-snap that up. Everyone gets baited by the Eagles. Still definitely snapping up the Elephant or the Explorer ahead of the Eagle, but you can understand with the Europe tag, Eagle is fine as well. Earl is playing a petting zoo here, the horse, which... Okay, the main problem I have is we've had sponsors at 5 for the last... Well, since the start of the game, right? No, cards was at 5. But sponsors is your best action in the early rounds. Because 5 money is very meaningful. You're either playing a sponsor or getting 5 money. So this is the action that you want to be doing the most in the first round. And it being stuck at 5 while you're doing build animals is not ideal most of the time. It makes sense to play an animal there so we get a slight income lead. It's not very meaningful though, because the opponent doesn't have an enclosure. They're going to build here before they can play animals. Yeah, that is the thing, that Earl also wants to keep these 5 cards and probably ditch Spokesperson. So then playing the animal also lets you keep a card. But opponent's not interested in playing animals at all. They just exit back, in fact, which is a bit odd because they still haven't built anything yet. But now is a perfect time for Earl to cause the break. Instead, these single kiosk moves I'm not a fan of, because it gives us 1 more income right now, but we have plenty of uses for a 1 size. If you're going to do a small build action, just build a 1 size for Stoat or Chameleon. We always want to play these. The kiosk, the one income is not enough of a reason to do a single build action for it. Yeah, opponent kind of looks like they want to play a sponsor. Which they do. They want to get their Adventure Playground out. That does solve their... Not solve, but it helps their income deficit. In fact, now they have an income lead with the Adventure Playground played. It also gets them a second university here, so the main thing is that they get to upgrade build before using it. They get the double science. They do upgrade build, so they also get to draw up the Europe tag from the placement there, but they still have 4 out of 3 cards. And now is another perfect time to cause the break, because we don't want to let the opponent fully build to increase their income even more. But this is the time we play the second petting zoo. So now sponsors has been at 5 for the last 3 actions. And it would have been the perfect time to break 2 or 3 moves ago. Now the opponent gets to fully build. So this is a case of just letting the opponent get away with too much this round. We're doing very mediocre things, which is playing 1 petting zoo, building a kiosk, playing another petting zoo. The opponent gets to play Adventure Playground, fully build. It's too much value they're getting. And now after they take all the actions they want for the round, I guess they want to play animals, but aside from that, now we cause the break. Very interesting, just play Expert on Europe, White Stork. This is a very clear path to 5 Europe. See, opponent starts with... Yeah, opponent has their double uni, so they just grab Europe Partner Zoo. We're snapping here, and I'm going to guess this for Expert on Europe. And honestly, not bad. If this is... it's not great. Our sponsor is a 1. I was going to say it gives us lines to support Europe this round, but they're not very good lines because our sponsor is so far away. Okay, I do like Expert on Europe here. Gives you a very clear path to 2. Play Expert in Europe, play the Stoat, you have 2 Europe. Opponent does cards, so they can cause the break next move, which we should be very concerned about. They just draw from deck. Explorer is feeling just deflated being in folder 1 right now. I think now would have been perfect time to grab Asia Partner Zoo. It's tough. This is something specific to Research Institute, where players grab 2 unis manually and then this third uni is doing nothing. What's the point of this third uni? It doesn't give any CP, it doesn't help our endgames. Maybe it helps with a vet or like a science museum later, but it's not a necessary university to get. The advantage of doing it now is that we do get a double upgrade, which is... Okay, I do like the sponsors a lot. I'm going to expect build, yes. Opponent could break here. Opponent doesn't break, they have Aquarium they want to play. Thank you, Bob. Thank you for those words. Yeah, opponent's getting so much value out of Aquarium, Archaeologist. They get another rep from Archaeologist. I'm extremely optimistic that we're going to play Explorer from range next move. I am very optimistic. Okay, Pavilion 3 size. Another Chaos, don't even need to build the 1 size. We have Expert in Europe coming, so now I'm a bit more scared that Expert in Europe's about to be played next move. Opponent is building again before doing animals, so they clearly have 2 that they want to play. Now they draw up Explorer. No. Not like this. They even get to upgrade... They could have upgraded sponsors, they chose to upgrade animals instead. And they just get the third uni themselves. A bit more forgivable because they've had Archaeologists, so they grabbed 1 manually, but then 2 from their map. The timing's a little off. The spokesperson is fine to play now because grabbing the third uni gets you another worker from the reputation. But playing the Expert in Europe now allows you to play Stoat Lynx. But I guess then the plan is to play the Langer this move, which kind of goes against getting the third uni and the rep to get another worker because we're just breaking 3. Opponent does have Gariza, so Primate 1 for them. That is all they play, so okay. They clever back a Sos. They also can't break in 1 move, so I mean we have time to do a few more things. This is that build 2 action. Okay, now I'm curious if we're going to grab Partner Zoo this move or play animals. I guess it has to be Partner Zoo because we can't afford the Langer anymore. The Gariza, yes. Opponent snaps up White Stork. Okay. They already had 4 out of 5 cards, so I don't think the Stork is that snappable, but it's okay. Here is Asia Partner Zoo. When did I last play Explorer at Folder 1? Great question. I would say never. Well, maybe not never. But the funny part about that is that you need to have sponsors upgraded and it be in Folder 1. The only time I've ever seen it in Folder 1 is at the start of the game. Opponent just breaks here. Makes sense, break before we can play animals. I mean, we know the opponent has Explorer. They have good sponsors played. It's a tough matchup right now. But we can start off this round by playing the Langer plus the Chameleon. It lets us snap up the Eagle Owl, which is nice. So we have a clear path to 5 Europe once again. I like that. There's also a couple of scary cards on display. The Pelican becomes a lot scary because they have Aquarium played already. The Polar Bear exhibit's just pretty good in general, plus it has a water tag too. I'm not sure if Pelican is scarier than the Eagle Owl. The fact that Eagle Owl is our 5th Europe probably makes it snappable over the other two. It's close though. Now the Langer. Yeah, so the awkward thing about this is we still don't have a good project to do. Because the first project we want to do is 5 Europe, we don't have 4 or 5 Asia yet. So we have 3 Asia icons, which is fine, but no project to do. Opponent might get 5 European with the breeding program. That's another reasonably scary card, yeah. They just grab Australia Partner Zoo, which kind of tells me they're eyeing the Pelican, which fair enough. They don't have a lot of good spaces for it. There's only up here for double water. Yeah, they do upgrade sponsors now. We know they have the Explorer they want to play. Good time for export in Europe. Wait, what? Oh, it's the breeding program. Okay, that's more interesting then. I don't mind that at all. Breeding program straight from range. Now you would hate to just have to support 4 Asia. Actually, no, it unlocks 2 primates. Okay, I like that. I'm on board. It gives us 2 primates to do, then we can do very easily 5 Asia later. If we find 1 more tag, we have a path to 5 Europe. So again, it's a little bit a case of trying to do every single project, but with the breeding program, it's actually working out reasonably well. Opponent builds a 5 size. I would be very scared seeing that. The 5 size means 2 things. It either means they're about to play the Pelican and they have a release for it, or it means they're about to play a Fur Seal, which you don't really want to see either of those. Yeah, that 5 size means Fur Seal or Pelican. I'm not actually sure which one. I think building now is reasonable if it's to build over an X token or a Clever, just so we can do the project next move. Yeah, okay, over the Clever I like. I think we can definitely afford to build a Pavilion. It's not like we need 2 money sitting around. Pavilion is just 2 money for 1 appeal, which is always a good trade. But I'm not a fan of animals. So the reason for the animals Clever back is that we need a 3 size to be able to play the links, but we can already play these down next to. We don't even want to play the links. But clevering back cards here makes a lot more sense, just so we can do the project next move, start getting rewards. Yeah, I could also build 3 to deny Pelican, which I might consider. I mean, opponent's just playing Explorer here, which is expected as well. I think there's very little chances of Pelican snap, but it would... If it was a Pelican snap, I'd be reasonably impressed. It's just drawing from the deck, which, I mean, is a lot more expected move. Not a bad draw either. Guerrilla Field Research, Diversity Researcher, both stack with Spokesperson, both help with Sponsor Zoo endgame. Pretty good draw. Secretary Bird, you might consider keeping for some release upside, but all these 6 cards have enough upside themselves to keep. Well, I was wrong on both those counts. It's actually just the dugong, which I guess I could have read as well, but also scary with the aquarium. The good thing for us is that they can't play the pelican as well because there's no double water space left on the map. So pelican is no longer a threat. We'll see if the opponent wants to dig anything away. They dig away the grizzly bear, okay. Dig away the polar bear exhibit, which I would have expected them to kind of be interested in because they have aquarium. Dig away geologist, which okay. It's what this digging is telling us is that they're happy with their hand. They're not digging away anything from their hand, or they're just trying to put the marten in range for themselves, which they do, but they choose not to play it, so that's a little bit odd as well. Marten would obviously be amazing for Earl, getting to 5 Asia, but there's also the rock python here. There's a couple of options. Okay, 2 primates. First reward, snapping. The display is pretty snappable. I don't mind. I would have been pretty tempted by 2 size, although it's not really that necessary with Expert on Europe coming in. I would have also been pretty tempted by the 5 money. Don't think that's a bad call either, but maybe this is just to snap up the marten. Upgrade cards makes a lot of sense. We're at 8 rep. Okay, I like Mon, just another 1 size animal. We're going to have a few 1 size enclosures. Opponent wants to play a sponsor before the break. Oh, they just want to play their federal grants from display. It's okay. They still have a worker unspent. Not sure they have a project to do either, so they could be a little bit stuck. Low mountain range. I think the only thing we know about the opponent's hand is the golden eagle from the start, which I'm sure they would have kept. So this low mountain range should be pretty high priority for them. Yeah, the lion's looking a little bit interesting. We obviously have 3 predators in hand. It's pretty far away at the moment. I like Expert on Europe here. Get these 1 sizes going. We're fine not having a break because this would be a good time to grab Europe Partner Zoo. We also still have 2 sponsors that we don't mind playing. And the break's pretty close anyway. Opponent's going to snap up that project. 3rd petting zoo for us. I don't like Xing back animals here because we don't need any more enclosures to play the next 3 animals. The only enclosure we need is for the lynx. But we can already play Eagle Owl, Stoat, Marten. It seems like it's enough. When we have 3 empty enclosures and there's a rabbit here, we can already play 4 animals. We don't need to build before doing animals again. Opponent's just going to break before we can spend their worker, which is great news for us. It tells us they don't have a project immediately to do. Means we do get to snap up the rabbit as well. This is a bit of an annoying discard, but most likely just Diversity Researcher. Even though I'm a huge fan of the card. It's interesting. I would probably just snap up the rabbit here. Maybe the Kookaburra is a little bit scarier. Kookaburra is not bad either. We get the iconic points and then we know the opponent has the eagle with the low mountain range. So we can leech off the release for this later. Could definitely be playing Guerrilla Field Research this turn to be able to draw the Kookaburra from range. Draws randomly and hits a vulture. If the plan was to draw randomly, I don't think the timing on this makes much sense. We'd rather have a Sosire So just grabbing the Europe Partner Zoo first would be better action order, I think. Yeah, it looks like the opponent only has the eagle thing to do, so they're going to build a 5 size. Oh, they're just going to build an aviary, okay. Asia 5, yeah, well, Asia 5 works. Well, we already had Asia 5 with the Martin because of breeding program. So this is nice for Asia 6, but not really that necessary. This is something that I see relatively often. This is a bit what I mean by too much building. They already telegraphed that this was going to happen when they clevered back animals instead of build. But we really do not need the 2 size. I assume the plan is to get the 3 size from 5 CP, but not really properly tracking what the opponent has because they're about to play Eagle into... The opponent might do 2 Europe, in which case we can still get the 3 size, but they might also just do the Eagle release to get the 3 size enclosure. Yeah, I think the reason for not building for the Lynx is this 3 size reward on 5 CP. But the opponent can take it away this move. Oh my god, they still have the Stalk as well, actually. I completely forgot about that. That's an even better release for them. Yeah, they just play both. They get to release the Stalk first and then do 2 Europe. They might just start with 2 Europe. Yeah, they start with a Stalk release into snapping. Yeah, that losing that 3 size does really hurt for the tempo now because we just did a build action. They drop the Kookaburra, which just stops the leeching off the release. We can still release the Eagle Owl, but it's not as good a release as the Kookaburra. They just snap Expert Enlarge to play. Yeah, both players did take snapping first. It's a little bit harder to tell if they actually do this every game, because by the time both players are doing their first project, they already have 8 rep. So it's not like they're taking snapping without already having 2 workers. But I think if maybe they did an earlier project, we'd more likely see the worker first from them. Okay, cards is in the way. I understand the desire to do cards now, because I think now Earl is looking at play a sponsor for money, sitting here and being like, I want to find a sponsor to play. Which he does, finds an amazing sponsor to play, wow. Definitely do not condone drawing all from the deck at once, especially when there's cards like a Rock Monitor here, which could be very useful to draw up and sunbathe a lot. Most high-level players would take snapping first reward now, or 2 size enclosure first reward instead of worker. But that is the reason why worker at 2 CP is valuable, because you get the value of the worker and the income bonus. I missed your comment, Warmy, but yeah. This was the main reason that I wasn't a fan of doing user game reviews in the first place, because there's a lot of mistakes back to back, and then it's hard to reassess like the position from just blunder after blunder. Because if I was playing this game, we'd certainly be in a different position than we are right now. This hand is just stacked. We're looking at 5 Europe, 5 Asia, Vulture release. It's just going to take a long time to get all this down. And time is something we don't necessarily have, because the opponent's at 37 points now. We know they have at least 1 more project to do in 2 Europe, but they don't have too many cards. So they probably just do a cards action themselves. Never mind, they just play their Expert Enlarge that we saw them snap up. We like this from Eldo. Just getting 5 Asia. And that's the good thing. Now we can get the Partner Zoo from 8 CP. Because I think the plan is certainly not upgrading Essos, but I could definitely be wrong on that as well. Okay, Stoke for the 1 size. Martin to go in that 1 size, nice. Unfortunately, no Hunt. That would have been a great draw, but Expert in Small Animals is not an animal. Well, I would say 12 money first is probably never going to be meta, but it can certainly be useful in a lot of situations. I have taken 12 money first. Okay, opponent draws. They draw the Gould Monitor for God knows what reason. I guess to fit in the 3 sides that they have. Fair enough. They also take the Lion to deny after they've seen Earl play 2 Predators, so the opponent's paying attention to their opponent. That's good gameplay. Even more Europe shows up. Yeah, this is just going to be 5 Asia. Very good. Into 5 money, I think's pretty reasonable when we have a lot of animals we want to play. I do like 5 money here. Get to play that Expert on Asia. Although it's fine. I guess we're quite happy breaking 5 next move. But actually we're in not a bad position at all now. The Pavilion gives us 5 more money. Yeah, we get Europe Partner Zoo, so we get even more 1 sizes. Yeah, it is Animals upgrade. I think Animals makes a lot more sense because the game is pretty close to finishing. We don't have a ton of money, so being able to play Animals at 3 without X tokens is very useful. The opponent gets to do a massive build action with their ×2 on build. They could be overspending on enclosures, but at the same time, they're pretty close to filling up their map, so it's probably worth doing. Opponent clevers back a Sos with this, which I do not advise doing, but that would make it a great time to break 5 when the opponent's Sos is on 1. I mean, not looking that bad here. Probably discard the 2 big animals. We have the next 4 animals to play. We can build a 5 size, play the Vulture, release the Vulture, then we have an enclosure for the Lynx. So Earl is very close to getting to 100, honestly. By the time the Vulture is played and released, and then like 5 Europe is hit, plus the last Petting Zoo, this could be very close to 100 points. Does snap up the Adder, which is definitely the correct snap. Both players have Europe. We can even use the Adder on the opponent, which is going to be very annoying for them. I would expect the opponent's going to snap up one of these projects. I guess large animals. They take the Slow Worm, so it kind of looks like they're trying to fight for 5 Europe themselves, but they will not get there first. They should not get there first. Okay, they just played the Gould Monitor. We also know they have the Kookaburra, so I'm wondering if they have a Rhino with this 4 size, just to be able to do 5 Australia. That kind of looks like a possibility right now. They scavenge the Stork back and play it for 2 money. That's quite funny. They get a multiplier and build again, which they don't need to fill the map, but they will fill the map. We do need to build the 5 size. Small thing, we should always make sure the 5 size touches water, although I understand grabbing both the X tokens Although, can we not? No, I guess we can't. It's fine. The X tokens are going to be useful because the game is getting pretty close to ending, I think. Opponents doing cards, which we're very happy to see. But okay, that is just so they can get the project. One rep is also an X token. This is true, but it's also an X token later if we just get it from animals. Anyway, now is the time that we really need to hit this 5 Europe. So it'd be perfect time to play Adder plus Eagle Owl here. Especially with the opponents so on 3. Now's the perfect time to play animals. Yeah, good timing from Earl here. Beautiful Adder timing. Yeah, they can also get the rep with the one size, so... Okay, it all worked out. That would mean that building the 5 stars touching the double water is more important. Just in case you find something like a Sumatran tiger to play. Earl does drop the Badger, but... I mean, could be played. Actually, I don't mind the Badger at all here. This could be a mistake if the opponent can steal away 5 Europe. But I think the Badger... They had the right idea drawing it up. I think they were just trying to deny the Europe tag, but playing it there makes a lot of sense. They can boost their animals back to 5, which is great when you really want tempo at this stage of the game. They can already do 5 Europe with the opponent's Assos action this turn. And then the follow-up move from their point of view can just be doing animals next move into Rabbit plus the Eagle Owl or something. I guess they really want to get this enclosure back for the Lynx, which is why they're playing the Vulture first. Yeah, they've already used their cubes from the breeding program, so they are at a bit of risk of the opponent stealing 5 Europe. The opponent has a Barn Owl as well, so they definitely have at least 4 Europe. Here we keep the Science Institute for Sponsor Zoo, I guess. Okay, doing the project here makes a lot of sense. Taking the worker is the correct reward as well. We need to be able to support another project this round. So these are very reasonable moves by Earl, apart from not playing the Badger there. But you can understand the timing. You can understand them wanting to get the 5 size back. But it's very dangerous to do it when the opponent's threatening 5 Europe. Yeah, okay, we even knew that they had the Slow Worm as well. So opponent has Slow Worm plus the Barn Owl, they do have 5 Europe in hand. But Earl still has tempo on this, as long as he's not trying to be too greedy and play 2 animals right now. If you just play the Badger or the Eagle Owl, then it works out fine. Okay, opponent doesn't even worry about 5 Europe, they just play the Kookaburra. Very bizarre. If this is the Badger alone, then I love this. No, the Badger. So playing one of the Europe animals is definitely correct, so we secure 5 Europe. But we can use the Badger boost ability so well here. Use the Badger, boost up animals, play animals again. We can still afford to play Eagle Owl, Badger, Lynx. But now the awkward thing is... we want to play 3 animals, but we don't have good tempo to play them. This is a crazy amount of 1 sizes we're getting. Could also look at playing the Tasdevil to hit the Expert in Europe endgame. Perception from the Eagle Owl. Wilds special, not that bad here. Just for some late game small animal appeal. No. Opponent's just filling up the map. Opponent gets in there 2 pavilions, making full use of that multiplier. And honestly, it's going to be a close finish. I don't know what the opponent has left to do. This is going to be 5 Europe this move. Taking the clever would be fine. I do like taking the clever. Earl did keep Waza special. So clever makes a lot of sense to get sponsors up to 5, play this, then start spamming out the small animals. Okay, I'm on board with clever as well. This is great. Opponent just breaks for money. Are we in a position to win the game in the next couple of moves? Opponent can cause break next move. They still have this looming 4 size, which we're not sure about. Oh my god, I love it. They're playing this endgame. They've played the last few moves really well. It's another petting zoo, a little bit unfortunate. Opponent breaks 1? That is never the correct move. The opponent is telling us they have a Rhino, and now they have exactly enough money to play it. But then the opponent really should have just spent the X token last move to break 6. But I think the opponent really wants to play Rhino and do Australia 5 to cross. We can play Badger plus Petting Zoo, boost up animals again, which I hope is what's about to happen. Oh no, why? Yeah, opponent could have just done another project. But I think the opponent has to take worker to do 2 projects, which means they're not getting money from that. Xing back is not right here. I don't know the logic behind Xing back. I'm trying to find a reason. I can't. Why are we Xing back? The only thing I can think of is trying to get these sponsors down for the end game. But let's calculate some points. This is +5, this is +11, +16. We can end in 2 moves with 1, 2, 3. We have enough money to do it. Well, I will assume it's to play the Science Institute. Yeah, opponent's gonna play their Sun Bear. That makes the sponsor... They have a second animal? Sun Bear Wolf, wow. So they did need that 1 extra money. They probably just calculated it after they did their break 5. Do they have a release for the wolf? Oh no, they have large animals, of course. They get all 4 from large animals. They're drawing from the deck because they're not quite at 100. They take Clever. Interesting. Clever's probably suggesting to us that they have a sponsor to play, then that's going to be their last move. Oh. I'm not going to be too harsh on Earl, because Earl did not choose to send this game in. I picked it randomly. But I think when your opponent's on 97, you have to be a bit more game aware to do the actions that just give you the most amount of points. in which case he's playing animals. Playing migration recording is a luxury action you can do after you play animals. So you play animals, the opponent stuffs around for a couple of moves, then's when you go, okay, I'm playing migration, I'm playing Science Institute. I get another endgame shield for Sponsor Zoo. But when you have a 20-point deficit, now is not the time to be doing these sort of luxury moves. So I think Earl is kind of losing it at the endgame here. I mean, opponent just takes 2 reputation, which is pretty insane as well. I don't know what they're hoping to get. It probably tells us the opponent has favorite zoo, but okay, now we have Science Institute. Well, that is the extra endgame shield. But these actions have not been better than playing Badger, Rabbit, Lynx. Yeah, opponent's just going to end with Expert on Africa. And Sponsorship Primates to get to 100 exactly. Not a very convincing way to cross, but how are their endgames looking? They have Archaeologists, they have Federal Grants, that's it. They have no X tokens. And now we're going to play Rabbit plus Lynx is now the best animal, I assume. Yes. Maxed out Iconic. Okay, Lorikeet over Rabbit. Fair enough. Yeah, the thing is Badger's still a 5-point animal, so playing Badger at any point is better than playing Migration plus Science Institute in 3 moves. Sponsored Zoo, Federal Grants, Archaeologist, Research Zoo. So only a 4-point loss. An opponent had Research Zoo, so yeah, I think it's pretty clear the opponent should have caused the last break. They did not have a good way to cross. They only crossed by getting 3 appeal from sponsors. This is the links from the opening hand. It finally came out for max value. Yeah, that is the thing. Because Earl made a fantastic sequence of 3 or 4 moves that I was just like, yeah, perfect move. And just a little bit too slow in the end game. This is, I think, the second game in a row we saw it from Woodfloor Alchemist as well, where maybe a bit over-focusing on the end goal. Because I think the way to think of them is they're a bit like a side quest. You can totally win a game with 0 points from your end goal, even though it feels really bad. But it's more important to be just have the game flowing and not be too concerned about it. Because really, Migration Science Institute gave us, I think, 3 extra appeal from the reputation from Spokesperson, and it gave us 1 extra endgame shield. But that's easily made up from just playing the Badger, which is giving +5 in 1 move. You even get the extra rep from the Animals action, so it's just how to get the points in 1 move instead of 3 or 4 moves. But there were definitely some good things. Earl was pretty focused on the projects, did manage to hit 5 Europe, 5 Asia. Maybe a bit too focused on them because they don't really go well together, but I love the breeding program move in the middle of the game. That was very nice. The timing on these could have been a little bit better. What else? Explorer, yeah, Explorer getting to Folder 1 is just a misevaluation of the cards. I think a little bit greedy not going for 5 Europe straight away, which the opponent might have been in a position to punish, especially if they did have Sunbear that whole time. They could have definitely punished the 5 Europe. But anyway, close game. I don't think Earl will ever watch this, but hopefully it was helpful for the rest of you guys. And that is all we're going to look at today. Oh my god. Yeah, there's a problem. Because I have a lot more to talk about, these game reviews go for a lot longer, so we are going to wrap it up there. And for those who haven't seen the news yet, Ark Nova has arrived on Steam. I've tried out the Steam version. It's pretty good. I won't be migrating there. I'll still be playing on BGA, but I might play a game or two on stream, or maybe make a video of it about it. But yeah, thanks all for watching. Have a good rest of the day, and see you guys on Sunday.